All right. It says we are live. Let's see here. We'll give it just a minute and see. Hopefully, yep, there we go.
Yep, we've got touchdown.
I think it is live. Hello, Gun Nation.
Howdy, everybody.
How's everyone doing? How are you, Mr. KS?
Doing well, man. Can't complain at all. How about you?
Living the dream, sir. Living the dream.
Good.
And Mr. 1776 will be joining us shortly. He is a little tied up, but he will be here pretty shortly. He's up. He just texted, said 5 minutes, so that's good.
I like that he's watching.
Yeah, he's watching. Probably getting everything set up. So, how was your day today? Did y'all have some weather?
Yeah, actually, all this week it's supposed to be rain, which is much needed. It's great. It's cooled things down a little bit, and I love snow. I love rain, cloudy weather. I mean, I'm an odd person. Obviously, I'm not like one of those beach people that hangs out in the sun. I mean, I'd rather be in the mountains with some rain and that sort of thing. So I absolutely love it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting a lot of rain too, and I think we're supposed to be getting it the rest of the week. However, I will be flying out in the morning or tomorrow, so it's yeah, it's been a busy, very busy last week or so. So, and going to be a busy week again going forward. So, we'll wait about, like I said, I kind of don't, we'll let some more people get in, and I've got some questions we're going to go over, and of course we want the subscribers' thoughts on these. I think it's pretty good topics, and but we'll give KS, or excuse me, 17 a couple of minutes. But have you been doing any shooting?
I have. I've been doing a little bit of shooting. In fact, and obviously, we always say if you're not on Instagram, come join us because oftentimes, we preview a lot of stuff here, of course. But then I preview some stuff on Instagram a little bit as well. And so some of you guys know that I picked up the P320 M17, and it's a P320, and it's a fine gun. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But it's been so long since I've shot a P320, a regular one, that I was kind of curious, anyways. And it was happenstance, and so it just kind of worked out. And I think it's a good looking gun. I like the cut for the red dot and everything. So I shot that a little bit, and did a little bit of other shooting as well, although I can't remember exactly what it was. And so yeah, it was good to get out and put some rounds down range and everything. My left hand is acting up again. It's something I went through a couple months ago. So I'm gonna have to take it easy for a little while. But I think I have enough shooting footage to make about another 6 or 7 videos. So should be in good shape for a while.
There you go. Yeah, I shot a ton of rounds at the farm, so I'm about to place another order. But it was a really great time. Getting to be with everyone, and it was a hell of a drive, though. That drive is a killer, and 16 hours. Whew. So you kind of start talking to yourself, and everything else after a while.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I was hallucinating. But let's see here. I guess we can. Well, and one thing I got to shoot at the farm that was pretty cool. If you've checked it out on Instagram, and it's not a long enough video to do on YouTube, but I got to shoot the Scar, automatic Scar, which was awesome, and I would love to have one. So that was really, really cool. So have you ever shot a fully automatic weapon or anything? I know you probably have at centerfire. I mean, have you shot anything there?
Actually, the first automatic experience I ever had was actually out at Fort Scott with the guys from Fort Scott Munitions when I went up there for a little fun range day, and they had an automatic 9mm AR, and it was suppressed, and it was, God, man, it was a ton. It was a ton of fun, and I naturally just wanted to do burst fire. I just and not having any experience whatsoever previous to that day, it just was kind of what I had built up in my mind to be more economic with the rounds, but also to keep better control. And it worked really well. And now it's a 9mm. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to say, "Well, that's not a real thing," but it is, and it was a ton of fun. I would do that again in a nanosecond. I know Centerfire's got it's actually a Glock 17, I think, but it works just like an 18. I mean, it's got the selector switch and everything else. They actually built it there because they're a Class 7 dealer, so they can build them. And so I at some point I really want to shoot that, and I just for whatever reason haven't. So at some point I'll make that work.
Now, did I say scar or saw?
I know you meant saw. You might have said scar. I'm not
sure. Because bald, I thought it was definitely a saw. Because bald is saying it's a saw, not a scar. And I was like, well, I know the difference. Maybe who knows what I had on my brain. So, okay, but yes, it was a saw. So, and it was awesome. But
hola,
hello.
There he is. What's up?
Oh no, I just finishing dinner with the fam.
Cool.
So worked late. Try to get in here as soon as possible, but I feel good.
Well, good. All right. Well, we'll pick up the question with you. Have you ever shot a fully automatic weapon?
Nope.
Because I know you haven't been in New York your whole life.
No, I never had an opportunity to do that.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't know, when you were in the Free State, if you had ever shot one or not.
No, we were toying around with it, but I never got a chance to do it.
Yeah.
So
just curious.
It's the way it is.
All right. Well, welcome, sir. How have you been?
Great, man. Just having fun with the whole holster month thing.
Yeah.
I did like a marathon video recording over the weekend, so I try to fit in as many as I could. And then I got some more I still have to make, but it's just whatever, same old stuff.
I was gonna say, because man, that would take a while for
Yeah,
I know you have a lot of.
You know what I did was I kind of narrowed it down to just holsters that I keep using constantly, even though obviously there are some that I favor over others, but ones that I just can't get rid of because I like them too much. And that's why I went that route.
Okay. Because I was going to say, that would take probably all of us quite a while. So
sure.
But, if we just went through every single one of them.
And can I just say one last thing?
Yes.
I'm going to be selling my APX if anybody wants it.
Wow. Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh my God. Are we getting banned? We're going to get banned for that?
We might.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. Well, I do have some questions. So let's go ahead and get it fired off. And if we've missed any real quickly in the chat that everyone is asking about, let's answer some of those first. But we do want to definitely thank everyone for joining us this evening. Taking time out of your schedule to join the Three Guys Gun Chat. We really appreciate it. And, please subscribe to the other channels. As we always say, there's great content creators and great other people, period, on the chat. So, we always want to spread the love around when we can. But the first question, okay, and this is kind of, everyone says this, but I want to see how many people really do it. Okay. And I want the subscribers to respond. And of course, you two gentlemen, and I do use that gentleman term loosely, but you know how we always say, okay, we have a pistol for home defense, or we have a pistol for SHTF, and a pistol gets you to your rifle. Everyone says that. How many of y'all, even subscribers, have a pistol, at your bedside or whatever, or have a pistol in the home, but that would get you to your rifle for the fight, or even in your vehicle? So what do y'all can kick it off?
17.
I have a pistol right beside my bed. Is that
well, what I'm saying is we all probably have a pistol right beside our bed.
Yeah.
But how everyone says the pistol, gets you to your rifle, for the fight. So right. Do you have a rifle? I guess I can rephrase this. Do you have a rifle at the ready that it's ready to go, pop the safety off, and boom, you could take out multiple assailants or whatever you needed to do?
I personally, because I live in a 2-story home, so, and I'm not giving anybody my floor plan in case anybody wants to, home invade me. But you will be shot and killed, just so you know. For me, I have my handgun. My main floor, my primary floor, is where the family is with me at night. Okay. So if I have multiple invaders in my home, I have about 40 rounds. I really would hope I would not have to go and get my rifle, which is downstairs, but I don't have a mag loaded. I don't keep my mags loaded on my rifles or anything like that. I don't shoot them enough to really justify it. I have a shotgun at the ready, although that's not everybody's popular, choice.
No, but that's a long gun.
I do have a shotgun at the ready if needed.
Okay. All right. What about you, KS?
My handgun is extremely close to me. When during the evening, during the night, and that gets me to my next magazine for that same gun.
Okay.
I mean, I've got a Remington 870 that's close by as well, and I could certainly do that. But the handgun, to me, in most situations, for most things, that would be. I would hope that would be all I would need. And you guys know I'm not really a rifle guy to begin with, and so that's not really much of an option. I mean, I could have the Scorpion, I guess, be pretty close to me if I wanted to, but it's not really going to do much more good than a handgun, and I'm going to be able to be more maneuverable with a handgun. So I don't have to futz with as much stuff on a handgun. So
Gotcha.
I'm pretty confident with that. But if I had to fall back to the 870, I could.
Okay. As far as a rifle, I don't really have one at the ready, being honest, I have pistol, multiple magazines. And then also I do have a 590A1. So I do have a shotgun at the ready, I guess, if need be. And it's loaded with slugs, not birdshot. So if it needs to go down, it's going to go down. But, I understand if you're in a certain situation, like if you're, in a firefight or something, yeah, that's kind of a different scenario. But for home, I don't just have ARs laying all over the house, just ready to roll. Now, if I lived on a severe amount of acreage, where I could see the road, and if people were coming in, that might be a different scenario, but I don't have that. So I personally don't set up like that. And I know some people do. And, like I said, it's going to vary, I guess, what your situation is.
Since
we kind of said that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you make a really good point. I think a lot of it has to do with your situation and your setup, not to mention your comfort. I mean, I'm comfortable around handguns more than ARs, that sort of thing. So it's more natural. But if I had a lot of land, if I lived 50 miles west of here or something like that, had a lot of land, I 100% agree with you. I would definitely have an AR and ready to go. Now, that still probably would not be my indoor choice. And again, that's all personal choice. But to me, that's a little bit louder and less easy to maneuver. And guys, you guys all know I'm not an operator or anything, but just everything that I've ever seen and heard and just physics in general would tell me that a handgun would be much more practical to maneuver around with, maybe with a weapon light on it, that sort of thing, some good night sights. But if I had to get outside and if there was land out there or something, even if it was just an animal or something like that, that's a whole different animal, but no pun intended.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So let me ask you a follow-up to that, because you said you had slugs in there. Is it just set for slugs? Because my shotgun, how I ride my shotgun in the home, is birdshot, buckshot, slug.
Mm-hmm.
I always figure the birdshot is the deterrent, and if that doesn't stop them, probably the buckshot will, and if that doesn't stop them, then they're going to eat a hole. I mean, that's just the way it is. But
no, there's no warning shots fired in my house. There's no, hey, I hope you make it out. There's none of that. It's
right. But it also depends on who's in the home, because I know your demographics in your house. For me, it's a little different. I've got the kids, so I have to be much more careful, because I'd hate to have a slug go through the wall in my son's room.
Yeah. No, and I completely understand that, and you're exactly right. Knowing where your family is at all times and things like that. My kiddos are older, so don't have to worry about that situation. And, but yes, I mean, and also, a lot of people, and, I'm not going to walk through the house like this, because I'm going to have a flashlight too. So I'm going to keep it down, and see what the threat is. And if it's a bad guy or bad person, the shotgun's coming up. So I'm not just going to walk around the house like this. For one, it's harder to maneuver a longer gun, through your hallways and things like that if need be. Mm-hmm. And some people do the ready up. I don't really personally like that, especially with a shotgun. But it's just knowing how to plot around your area, and that's the thing that I always that we've talked about too, even on the chat. Be aware of, like, just turn the lights off and use a flashlight and walk around your own home. Know where the mirrors are if you're going to flash yourself with a light, and, know where the white walls are, so to say, and just be aware of, it's amazing. People live in homes for years and years and years, and they've never done that in their own home. Right. They've never said, hey, let's just try this. and know where your kids are and know where you could shoot and not shoot and be prepared for that. And understand in a panic situation, sometimes that all might go out the window. But definitely be prepared for it and practice. I mean,
Right.
hell, it's free practice in your own home. Do a dry fire scenario. Of course, keep the ammo completely away, double, triple check, and just dry fire around your home. And know what the hell, know what's going on and what you would have to do in a certain scenario. Be prepared, I guess, is the best thing for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have we missed any awesome questions?
I mean, people have just been kind of commenting on their different setups and what they use and some of the ammo and that sort of thing. So a lot of variances, which just kind of tells me that everybody has their personal choice or they've thought about what's most practical, for their situation. I know another thing for me, the houses around here are close enough. Mm-hmm. I would not feel comfortable with an AR. I don't, and I'm not a ballistics expert, but I would think that there would be a possibility that it could at least go through one wall, like a back wall or something like that, and potentially end up in somebody else's house or whatever. So that also doesn't work for me. Now, Rabbi Jesus was saying, how often do you practice clearing your home? And it was kind of going along with what you were saying, Big Johnson.
I mean, I've done it. It's not like I do it like, okay, every third Monday of the month, I'm going to do it. It's not that. I've done it, honestly. I mean, I've done it many, many times. Especially if no one's home, that might be just something I do. Or, when I dry fire around the house, I'll put my race belt on and I'll actually walk around and dry fire, of course, when no one's home and no ammo. That is a scenario where I can dry fire practice, do draws. And of course, I'm not going to have a race belt on when I'm sleeping, but, it lets me know different areas and where I am around the house, and the cool thing about it is for light switches. Light switches are so small, they're perfect things to dry fire on. And you've got light switches in every room. So, that's one thing that I do. And you can paste up little targets and, things like that, whatever you want to do.
Now, when you're clearing your house, boy, we're getting a lot of feedback. I don't know who that's from. So, but when you clear your house, are you wearing cowboy boots and are you in your undies?
Oh, yeah. Actually, undies with cowboy boots. Hell yeah.
Oh, God.
So the other question I have is, Tundra Tactical has been trolling me via text, and I think it's hilarious. Thank you. But the other thing is, he mentioned, could we go over why we think shotguns are not good for, I guess, home defense? I personally, the shotgun is my go-to in my house. It's not everybody's favorite. I know there's plenty of people out there who are the school of thought the AR is as effective, if not even more. And maybe it is, but I think Chaos brought a valid point saying that he would be a little concerned about just the power of the ammo, or, ballistics or whatever. I personally have no problem unloading a shotgun in my house if I have to. Yeah. Again, I think the loads have to be specific for what's in your house and who's in your house. Getting back to the clearing of the house, it's funny that you say that because I've actually done that. My wife is never home when I do it because she thinks I'm crazy as it is.
Yeah.
So, I'll be in my downstairs with my gun, just kind of, clearing, taking wide angles, starting low, working my, is it practical? Who knows? I mean, what is the likelihood of it happening? Probably never, but why not get prepared? I mean, if you have a hurricane that's 150 miles away, may not hit you, why not get prepared anyway? So you got to look at it from that standpoint as well.
Yeah. And, hopefully I never even have to go to the shotgun. I just have, the pistol and, of course I've got a light on the home defense and then also have a separate light. And I would use a separate light because I'm not just going to start aiming and pistol waving people like we've talked about before with the pistol light. But, if I had to keep a constant, the thing about the pistol light that I can appreciate again is when you're walking through to clear your house, just say this is the muzzle, you can have your pistol light on and you can actually have it aimed at the ground. That way you're not aiming at someone and you're going to get the flood, coming up the house and it's going to light up the bad guy too. And I've practiced with that too. And I know that it works. Even on a dark wood floor, it works. But, it's just being familiar with whatever you're choosing, if it's an AR, a shotgun, a pistol, whatever the heck it is, and what light source you're going to use and being familiar with your own home. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. And some people, they'll put up lighting or they'll have the plug-in lights, where it just, kind of the blue light,
right,
where it lights up for hallways and stuff like that. And I'm a big proponent of even your exterior. If you go through a neighborhood and every damn house is dark, you're just inviting bad guys.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I keep my outside lights on, you know, front, back, you know, if I have to pay a little more electricity, oh well. But I doubt a bad guy's just going to be like, hey, this house is well lit up. Let's just walk in the yard and walk around, you know, and check for security. I mean, you know, and of course I have security. I'm sure y'all do too. But it's just bad guys are going to look for those type of targets.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now going back to the shotgun thing a little bit, because Tundra was kind of suggesting that shotguns might not be good for home defense, and I too am of the mindset that I would actually disagree with that. Now, I don't think they're the best. I think handguns are the best because they're the most maneuverable. I like the idea, kind of like Big Johnson said, if you don't want to do a pistol light, you could do one in the hand. Shotgun makes that a little bit more difficult. You're really, because both hands are working on the same thing. You don't really have a free hand to do anything or open doors or anything like that. But there are some advantages to that. I mean, if somebody's trying to get in your door, I mean, let's say they haven't made it in yet, but you know somebody's trying to get in your door, they're picking at the door or whatever. I'll tell you what, loudly pumping a shotgun, and although not everybody can hear it and not everybody knows that sound, I think a lot of people know that sound. It's pretty recognizable. That can scare the crap out of people, that alone. I mean, first off, there's a loud noise coming from the house you're trying to break into. That might be a deterrent enough. But then hearing something like that, I mean, and not ever having to crank off around, because ideally I would rather not have to fire my firearm ever at anyone or in any sort of danger. I'd rather be at the range shooting. But you know, there are some advantages there. And again, I prefer handgun. That's my go-to. But the shotgun, to me, it's a viable option.
Yeah, on my shotgun, I actually have a pick rail on it on my 590, and it's actually right on the pump area. So all I have to do is just hit it with my thumb, and it's illuminated, and I can do the same thing and hold it down at the ground. And then, you know, when I come up, I'm ready to do what I need to do.
Well, I think it's also, I think the one thing is, it's not about, you know, what's the best option in regards to guns. I think it's more of what's the best option for your setting. And I mean, that has to be taken into play. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, you can have all the plans in the world, but I mean, how many of you out there have really set up a plan for the whole family? How many of you have safe words that are associated with a situation that, in case you do have an invader who comes into the house, is there a plan where the family goes? Because obviously you're going to defend them. So is there a place where the family goes? Is there a safe word for you to tell them so that, you know, again, when the situation is over, they know to open up that door? Because I've always told my family, I said, this is what we're going to do. And again, I'm not going to tell you guys what I'm going to do, but this is what we're going to do. And when the situation is over, I'm going to say this particular word. If you hear me saying that word, it means open up the door. If I'm saying a different word, or if I'm not saying anything, then I'm either dead or they got me under their, you know, under their control. And even if you're able to get to that safe area with the family, I'd rather have a shotgun blow a hole through that damn door if somebody's trying to get in it. And I mean, to me, that's why, for me, my situation, my environment, my family, that's why I have a shotgun. I mean, I could grab a rifle, I could grab my 30-30 if I wanted to, but for me, it's the shotgun. I mean, that's what I go to.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're all valid points. And, you know, and trust me, I don't underestimate an AR at all. I mean, I think if you were posted up in your bedroom with your family and you were pointing something at the door, if it's multiple attackers, you know, I think an AR is a spectacular choice. You know, but I also personally, and y'all probably do too, if you're going to use a shotgun or an AR, I mean, I have multiple AR mags around the home, and I have boxes of shotgun shells around the home too. So, you know, I know where they are, and if something were to happen, you know, I could reload. But, you know, in a panic situation, hopefully it doesn't ever come to that where I'm reloading, you know, shotguns and ARs and stuff like that. But, you know, who the hell knows? I mean, it's better to have it and not need it than not have it and need it. So.
Yeah, something has gone terribly wrong if that's the case. If you're,
exactly.
I mean, like for me, my handgun, I've got 2 fully loaded 17 round magazines, and then I've got, you know, the shotgun, which I think holds seven shots. I feel like that better me, but if that is not enough, then this is not a home invasion, it's a war.
Exactly.
And I know obviously on a small scale, but a lot of people were saying, and Harry actually made a really good point. Too many people don't understand that taking another human life is life altering. And this was kind of going back to, for me, I mean, again, if I had my choice, I would never, ever want to, you know, point my gun in a self-defense situation. That's the ideal thing. And so you were talking about things like lighting and alarm systems and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a huge believer of trying to make as many deterrents outside of the house to keep that situation from ever happening. I mean, thankfully, I'm in a really well-lit neighborhood. I've got a street light right outside my house, which I love. That's free lighting right there, taxpayer lighting. And then good lighting around the house, a great alarm system. I actually have a couple of video cameras. And that's, I'm not being overly sensitive. I want the option to be able to have that if need be.
Paranoia.
Paranoia. Yeah, I really don't think so. I mean, thankfully that we're in a technological age now where that sort of thing is inexpensive.
Right.
It's relatively easy to use. You can plant a couple, like I've got one, I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but it's inside and it's visible to a good portion of the house, the open portion of the house. So it can capture a lot of things. And then one on another level of the house. And it can capture a lot of things. In fact, close to where the guns are stored and that sort of thing. And I think that's just for, if nothing else, if I get broken into in the middle of the day when I'm not here, I want as much evidence as I can possibly get. And thankfully, I've got plenty of neighbors that are here during the day. That makes me feel pretty good. But anything you can do to keep the crap from ever happening, I am a huge proponent of. And I don't think we talk enough about that as gun channels. We talk about the, the thing we're carrying inside and all that, but what do you do to keep the stuff out to begin with? That's important.
Yeah. And, even like the little, inexpensive Ring doorbells and stuff. And trust me, I have some relatives that have the Ring doorbell and they're, they'll be at a restaurant and they're like, hey, look on my phone, so-and-so was at my door. They're dropping off the package. And I'm just, they're just enamored that they can, pull up their phone and look at that kind of stuff. So, I mean, and that's just kind of a cheap piece of, item too. And hell, they actually pick up pretty far, at the edge of the sidewalk, like way away from the actual door, they'll pick up. So, I mean, something like that is, might work for someone too. So, but, okay. All right, good. So we've kind of gone around that rim, but, and bringing up the shotgun, that was actually another second part. Bringing out, or bringing up the shotgun. Okay. KS, I know you have an 870. I know 17 has a shotgun, but how often, and I bring this up because it just, kind of happened to me. How often do you shoot the shotgun? Like, do you stay familiar with it? Have you taken it to the range? Have you done some work with it to be somewhat proficient with it?
For me, I used to compete with shotguns. So I actually have several Benellis, 12 and 20 gauge. And then the 870. The 870 was the first shotgun I ever got. It was like $300 at a place that doesn't exist anymore. It was Galleons, I think it was called. So that's kind of it's almost a throwaway gun anymore, but it's a great pump shotgun. It's got thousands of rounds through it. It's kind of beat up, but the thing runs like a champ. But those Benellis are great. Admittedly, I rarely ever shoot shotguns anymore. It's probably been a couple of years, but I still, no matter what, any guns that I don't get out very often, I still, a couple, 2, 3, 4 times a year, I get out and I take them all down and I clean them and make sure everything is in good shape and, re-oil everything and just make sure that I remember how everything works and make sure that I'm comfortable with it and all that kind of stuff. With the 870, I'll cycle ammo through it or at least get the old output new in, that sort of thing. And so there's certainly some maintenance, but admittedly, I don't shoot anywhere near as much as I should. And I used to love shooting. Sporting clays I lived for that for years.
Yeah. What about you, 17?
One of the first long rifles I ever bought was a shotgun. So I really started shooting longer guns with a shotgun. And, I think it's, do I shoot them often? Honestly, it has, in my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, it has the lowest learning curve of any gun you're ever going to own. It is put it on your shoulder, point and shoot it, put it on your hip, point and shoot it, because you're going to hit something. And so for me, why would I go out and, bruise up my shoulder for 400 or 500 rounds when I'm comfortable with it. I have no issues with it. For me, I'm a Mossberg guy because of the thumb safety on the top, because I'm a lefty when I shoot rifles. It's just easier to manipulate than the trigger guard safety. So I do wind up going with Mossbergs because of that. And they work, they shoot, they go bang, they make big holes and stuff. And so I don't really shoot them but I feel extremely comfortable operating them.
Yeah, good. And I bring this up because the last farm, I took my shotgun and I shot it and did everything, but we didn't really have, like, so to say, a 3-gun setup. And so the last time I shot a shotgun was, gosh, the last time at the farm. I don't even remember when that was, but it was a long ass time ago. So I brought it out again and I was like, damn, okay, I haven't shot it in a long time. Am I gonna, how am I gonna do with it? It was real surprising, how well I actually did with it. And again, I didn't put up a video on YouTube. It's on Instagram if you want to see it. But I was real surprised how and that was a cold run. I mean, we hadn't shot shotguns all day, and we just went up and it was a complete cold run. So I was pretty impressed when we took on the Texas Star and did some other stuff with it. And we had to start off with a shotgun, then go to the pistol, and then go to the carbine. So I was really impressed how actually good I did with it. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it kind of re-sparked. I mean, I've always loved shotguns. I shot them when I was younger with my dad. We used to shoot skeet. I sucked at trap, when it was flying at your knees and stuff. I mean, it was crazy, but actually pretty decent at skeet. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and kind of had like a little flashback of how much fun it was. So I was just like, man, I want to shoot my shotgun a lot more. So I was actually excited to do it. So, but okay, good deal. And then let's see. One of the things, and this kind of brought up another deal. Do y'all? And I've been asked this question before. That's why I'm bringing it up to y'all, and the subscribers can chime in too. Bald's being a smartass. That's because you had a hell of a coach standing over you. Yeah, Bald was standing over me, and he wouldn't get out of my way. So, but no, it was actually a lot of fun. Bald, Coda Boy, everybody. I mean, it was awesome camaraderie. So definitely brothers for life. But do y'all actually wear, like, gun hats and gun shirts and like where it says Glock or Moulin Lube or any second or 3%ers? Do y'all wear that kind of stuff, like, out in public? And have you ever been kind of questioned, like, what is it, or why are you wearing that? And that's just kind of a question that I wanted to bring up. What about you, KS?
Even though I have some shirts that say like Glock or Ruger or Smith & Wesson, that sort of thing, the only time I wear stuff like that is to the range, and that's it. I don't ever wear that stuff, and that's just me. I know a lot of people do, and out kind of where I live, it's somewhat commonplace, but it goes back to my belief where I do not want to stand out at 1% in the crowd. I want to blend in as much as possible to avoid either getting harassed by a person or even a cop who's a dick, which thankfully there aren't many of those around here, but also to be the first target. And I've always believed that, if somebody thinks that you might be armed, there's a good chance you might be the first target. I know that's probably extremism, but I feel that way. However, there's a little irony in there. I've got some polos that also are like Glock or Smith & Wesson or Springfield Armory and that sort of thing. And I actually do wear those to work because, we wear polos and that sort of thing. And no one ever really picks up on what it says. I don't find that people are paying as much attention. You're used to looking at a t-shirt and seeing the logo and seeing what it says and being curious, but a polo, nobody ever pays any attention to that. So I do wear those, but again, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just at work, and that's it. And the people all around there know exactly who I am and kind of what I do and that sort of thing. So they don't really care. So.
Okay. What about you, 17?
I don't really wear any per se gun clothes. I mean, obviously I'll wear Blue Alpha Gear shirts because they were sent to me, so I'm going to wear them. Yeah. But I usually will wear them to the gym only. I don't wear these, necessarily to go out to dinner or something like that. I try to blend in as much as I can. I mean, I'll wear the Army lacrosse hat. I won't wear any camos, nothing like that to, like Kaya said, stand out, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And really a lot of the basic clothes that I wear, I don't really wear t-shirts if I'm going out because, I'll carry my gun. And usually I carry full-size guns or compact, and I want to be able to move freely without worrying if I'm printing, especially up here. So I wear like a lot of button-up shirts. And I look like a dad, man. I wear, dad clothes. So I blend in. I don't think anybody would ever consider me, a carrier. At least I hope not. But again, I mean, it's so hard to determine that, because it depends on what you look like, depends on the way you carry yourself. I mean, there's so many things that make you stand out and then make you kind of invisible in the crowd too. You yourself, Big J, you're a tall guy. KS, I know, is a tall guy. I'm a fairly tall guy, so I think it's difficult to blend if you already stand out physically. So I think you have to make more of an effort to kind of blend in. So that's what I try to do,
Well, I've done a little test both ways, and I kind of did it going through all the multiple states, on this last drive. When I went down there, I just kind of wore shorts and t-shirt. I think I had I had my Vortex optics hat on. And, I'd go in like convenience stores and, restrooms, stuff like that. And I had one guy, look at my hat and he's like, "Oh, you like Vortex?" I was like, "Yeah, they make cool scopes." And, he was a nice guy and, he kind of picked up on it. Some people say stuff, some people don't. Well, when I drove home, I actually wore my Carry Life shirt. It says Carry Life, and the L is actually a pistol, sideways. And I've had it to where people have seen the shirt and not said a word. I don't even think they understand what it is. But I wore it back, and I stopped a few times and had a couple of people, kind of look at me kind of funny. Never said anything. And one guy was like, "Man, I love that shirt. That's awesome." He goes, "I need to get that shirt," and stuff like that. And I was like, "Oh, cool." And he obviously knew, but I think he was a gun guy too. So it's kind of, and trust me, I like being the gray man. And then sometimes I just don't give a hell. I want to wear what I want to wear, and I don't want anybody to. I keep waiting for that person to be like, "I can't believe you're wearing that," And I haven't really gotten that yet, except for that red hat that's right there behind my back. I wore it a couple of times, and I wore it to vote, and I had some really nasty looks, but I didn't care. But it's just funny seeing, especially the areas that you're in. Everywhere I was driving was gun free. It was gun friendly. It wasn't necessarily a gun free area, but I just kind of say, hell, wear what you want to wear. But I guess it depends on the area, and if you're trying to, be the gray man, or if you just don't give a hell. But I've seen guys that have worn Glock hats, Glock shirts, freaking tactical pants. I mean, they've got the whole gamut covered, and I'm just like looking at them, and I'm like, I wonder if that guy's even carrying, So it just, you're going to get it all different kinds of ways.
It's kind of, I got a funny story about that. So I was in the mall one day with my son, and I took him into GameStop, and we're standing in GameStop. I'm basically looking at the ceiling at this point, and this couple walks in, and this guy was one of these, ultra mall ninja tactical toolboxes, and he walks in. He's wearing BDUs. He's got like a, almost like an operator shirt on. He's wearing, no kidding, he's actually wearing racing gloves on his hands and on his belt. And he was wearing a tactical belt. On his belt, you could see the magazine pouches. He didn't even hide them. Clear as day. Oh, wow. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, Jesus, what a dick. That was the only thing I could think of, was that's a guy who I personally don't want to have a gun, because that's somebody who's out to try to prove something. And I was going to say something, but then I said, "Nah, I'm with my son. It's none of my business. Let me just move on." But it's ridiculous, Let me ask you guys this. Let me kind of bounce past this to you guys. So, have you ever been out anywhere, and when you talk to people, do they automatically think you're law enforcement? And the reason why I bring that up is because Rabbi Jesus is claiming that he's very physically fit. And when he was in Jamaica, he was asked if he worked for the DEA.
Okay. No, I've never had anybody ask if I was, well, take that back. And it was real quick. We were shooting in the woods. This was super long ago, and I've been carrying forever, but I did have an actual leg rig, and we went from the land in the truck, and then I just ran in to grab some, drinks and stuff, and ran right back to the truck. So I had a leg rig on, and a guy asked me if I was law enforcement, and I was like, no. And he goes, "Oh, okay, cool." He was just curious. He wasn't trying to be rude or anything, because it was a very gun friendly area. Mm-hmm. But that's the only time.
Yes, for me, a couple of times. In fact, a couple of times, I think on this chat, somebody's asked if I was law enforcement. I think it's maybe because of how I talk or how I present certain things or whatever. I don't know, but no, I am not, never have been, although I thought about it very seriously.
Yeah.
I ended up not doing that. So yeah, I've been mistaken for that a couple of times.
Cool.
Interesting.
So real quickly, I was kind of thinking about this for a second. In 17, taking a look at your shirt. So we're talking about kind of dressing and gun garb, that sort of thing. Your shirt to me would be perfectly acceptable anywhere, because most people would look
Right.
at that and they would have, they would almost think it dealt with racing cars or something like that.
Yeah.
They would never
Right.
think about
Yeah.
it ever relating to firearms. And so, like for me, I mean, you guys can't, Apex. You know, it's got a star, it's got the Millennium Falcon on it. I have no problem wearing this out. Nobody would ever pick up on what it is. I'll even wear, I've got a couple of Fort Scott Munitions t-shirts. They don't pick up on that either.
Yeah.
But when my t-shirt says Glock, that is synonymous with so many people with either guns or scary things, that's the type of thing that I steer very clear of.
Yeah. And that's like, you know, in the hotels and stuff, when I carry my Scorpion, I was going to say, I think I already put it back up, but my Scorpion bag, you know, it's got the Scorpion and it's just a little black backpack. Little tiny thing on there says Glock. And the only reason I got it is because it's the perfect size for mags, etc. But it just says like Team Glock or something on it. But other than that, you would just think it was just a regular old backpack and nobody would have an idea what the hell it is. But, you know, I don't want anything that just says gun, you know, or just screams it. That's kind of like, you know, and y'all probably, like I said, I'm older than y'all, and I know that a certain YouTuber does it, but you know, like those fanny packs. I remember back in the day, everybody had a fanny pack, or not me, but a bunch of people had fanny packs and they were carrying guns in them. So when I saw the guy that kind of didn't look like a fanny pack guy, I was like, he's probably carrying a gun in it. You know, it was just kind of that look for that stuff. But
hey, I actually have a quick question, actually bouncing a little bit more off of this and 17's story about being in GameSpot or that game store. I was in, it was Time Warner Cable or Spectrum or whatever it was back a couple of years ago. And we've been able to open carry and concealed carry for quite a while here, certainly concealed carry. And this may have actually been before open carry came on board, but there was a guy that was there and he had just kind of jeans on and a loose t-shirt. And when he got up, he was sitting down. When he got up, I noticed that he had one of those nylon holsters with the strap that goes over it, you know, and it was hanging, it was outside the house. It wasn't inside, it was outside the waistband, but it was hanging off, and it was kind of doing one of these sorts of thing. If this is his back, it was kind of just dangling, kind of doing one of these things and kind of falling off like this. I mean, if I'd wanted to, I probably could have disarmed him without him knowing what was going on. In a situation like that, what would you do? Would you do anything at all, or would you let him go about his business? And by doing anything, I'm not suggesting like take some sort of physical action, not at all, but just like, would you consider saying something to him?
Well, if you remember back when, this was a while, and I talked about this on a chat. I was at Walmart at the ammo counter, or at the little, you know, where you can look in the ammo case, and there was a kid standing there, had his phone, and he was just texting on his phone. He had an Uncle Mike's, and it was like a leg rig, and it was just hanging there, wide open, and had the little snap that was open. And he had a SD9 VE Smith & Wesson just hanging there. And I was standing right behind him, and both of his hands were on his phone, and he was texting. I could have just grabbed his pistol and pulled it right out of the holster and done what I wanted to do with it. And I actually told him, I said, "Hey man, you might want to check your gun." I said, "It's just hanging out." And he goes, "Oh." And he literally reached down and put the snap on, and it was still sagging like what you're talking about.
Right.
And I was just like, you know, I mean, I was almost about to say, I could have taken your gun and killed you with it. And, you know, there was an incident at a convenience store. I can't remember what state. I think it was Florida, where a guy was standing in line at a convenience store, and he had basically the same scenario. And a bad guy behind him grabbed his gun, pulled it out, shot him in the back, and then held up the store with that guy's gun. So, I mean, I'm just like, man, don't be that guy. For one, it gives us a bad name. And for another one, it's just very poor excuse for firearm ownership, you know, and responsibility, I believe.
Right. 17, what do you think?
You know, first off, it's none of my business. You know, I mean, I think it goes back to situational awareness. You know your situation, know where you're at. You know, obviously scan the area you're in. If you see something that's like you described, I mean, you know, just know it's there and that anything can happen at that point.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think, how do I say this? I don't really think you have a right to tell somebody, hey, you're carrying like an idiot.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes back to the conversation of, remember, as a gun owner and somebody who carries your gun, do you really have to, approach somebody in that manner? Because then a situation can escalate. And then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to talk the situation down if you can. The guy's already carrying like an idiot. So that technically probably means he's an idiot all around. And so you have to think about that. I mean, I think there's way too much bravado with a lot of people who carry guns. I think right away it's, oh, I carry a gun, I can kick your ass and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and I don't want to say this to be rude, but I think there are some people out there who carry guns because they know they really can't kick anybody's ass. And as a result, they use that as their crutch. And then all of a sudden they feel threatened. And then all of a sudden now you've escalated the situation. And you as a gun carrier are now either going to have to react one way or another. And you have the ability to not have that situation happen if you just walk the other way, but also keep that awareness around you that this guy's a moron. So just keep an eye on it,
Yeah. Well, and I kind of looked at it as, I've been carrying for a long time and I was maybe giving him a tip. However, I mean, I understand your point by all means. And, I guess it kind of look like this guy just kind of wasn't aware or maybe was new to carrying. He was fairly young, but you're right. He could have bowed up and, he could have done whatever. But, also look at it as I see, young people, and y'all have all seen them. The guy that just started carrying his gun and he's always putting his hand on it.
Sure.
He's got a shirt over it, but he's always like, is my gun still there or did it fall off?
Right.
You can always tell a new gun carrier or, readjusting his shirt or doing whatever he's doing. So, I always say if you got a good gun belt, good holster, your gun's not going to fall off and it's not going to move. So just leave it alone. Once you put your clothes on, leave the damn thing alone.
And I also think, Steve makes a good point. The older he's getting, the more he feels that way. And honestly, I have one responsibility. Well, actually two. My first responsibility is to myself. Yeah. My second responsibility is to the family or whomever I'm with at that point. Yeah. And so I don't go out of my way to confront anybody about anything. You want to act like a jackass as long as you don't bring it to me. Yeah. You want to carry like a moron, but do it on that side. You know, so I think everything is always about choice. It's always about choices. You always got to think that next step ahead of the moron, because let's be honest, morons are everywhere. And the best thing you can do for yourself is not be another moron. And the only way to do that is, and somebody say, oh, well, you're a weakling or a coward. No, I'm not. I can't be bothered with it. And I don't want to be bothered with it because I like my life. I like being free. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely. Now you do have a question, Rabbi Jesus.
Hold on. I want to offer some thoughts if you don't mind.
Sorry, go ahead. Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So actually, Young Guns made a good point. Maybe they're new to carry, and I take a different stance than you do. 17. I actually did offer a suggestion, and I presented it right off the bat to make sure it was hey, I'm a carrier too. I mean, I tried to get on a level playing field to not to make it something that we had a united front against. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, do you mind if I make a suggestion? Because I see your holster and your gun's kind of hanging out there. There are some other options that might kind of clean that up a little bit, make it more comfortable for you. And again, it was to not pick on him. It was to suggest something else that might make it a better experience for him. And he appreciated it. And he was cool with that. Now, if he went on his way and turned out to be an idiot, so be it. There's nothing I can do about that. But it was very discreet. And it was just, one carrier to another, and I made sure that he understood that. And I tried to be as posed myself as non-threatening as I possibly could. And I hopefully it worked out well. But I think we have an opportunity, not an obligation. To that point, I agree with you. But I think we have an opportunity, if the situation is appropriate, to share techniques, and it's not to teach, because I'm not any better than that guy, but to share experiences, because he may have just decided to do that day. I mean, I had no idea, whereas I'd been carrying for a few years at that time, and so I had a little bit more experience under my belt, although certainly with far less than a lot of people. But it was an opportunity to say, hey, here's some things that worked for me, and it might help kind of make that a little bit more comfortable and maybe less awkward for you. And he appreciated that. So I think we have an opportunity to share when the moment is right. And I'm not afraid to do it. Now, again, if I feel like the situation is going to be weird, or if I feel like the guy is going to be a jerk or whatever like that, I mean, I'll stay away. I don't have a problem with that. Let him do his own thing, whatever. Maybe a cop will stop him and go, dude, seriously, you got to stop that. And then I'm the, do your thing. But if the situation feels right, if I feel like it's an okay thing, I'm probably going to say something, so long as I don't think it's going to promote a dangerous situation.
Now, do you mind if can I just rebut that a little bit?
Sure.
So on one note, what I would say is the only place I think I would feel comfortable saying something to somebody in a constructive way would be at a gun shop, because you all know why you're there. I mean, it's not a big secret. You're not shopping for ballet shoes. You're there to look at guns. So I could see that in that realm, but, kind of saying what you're saying, well, if he looks like this, whatever, I see, I don't agree with that, because you have no idea who that person is. You don't know if they're suffering from a mental health issue. And I'll be honest with you, to me, that is the biggest issue I have right now with confronting people, because there are people who look 100% normal, act 100% normal, have normal jobs, normal lives. And then you just say the one thing, and next thing you know, boom, it's an explosive keg. And that's why for me, I will not do that, because I've had, you guys both know, I had experience with a psycho when I was driving in my Jeep. I did absolutely nothing. And, for me, that's when I said, you know what, I am not confronting anybody. I'm not getting myself mixed up with anybody.
Yeah.
Obviously if there's somebody in distress, I mean, do you have the moral obligation? I mean, we could argue yes and no, but at the same time, I am not going out of my way to train anybody on anything, because I am no expert myself. But more importantly, I don't know who the hell you are. I mean, if it was you or Big J, no problem. We know each other, but it's just not my place. And I personally am just not comfortable doing that, just because I don't know what their mental state is at that time.
No, I can understand, both point of views. I guess it's just going to be what you feel comfortable with. And if you get, a decent feeling, and you're right, at gun shops, everybody, hey, I love that gun, and everybody's shooting the crap and stuff. And it's a different scenario, but yeah, if you're in the middle of Walmart or something, you don't know what the hell people are going to do. So, but I think, from different standpoints, you can kind of judge it for yourself and see if you want to actually maybe make a recommendation, or if you just want to be quiet, whichever way. Real quick, we're getting close to time. Let's see here. One thing I did want to bring up, for everyone that's out there and watching, please don't forget about the lock grip giveaway that I'm doing. I've already given away one set. Daniel got as my judge, won them, and he loves them. He's done multiple videos on them, and it's awesome. Matter of fact, he's going to buy some more for his other pistol and his wife, his pistol. So don't forget about that. Just put your VR in or comment, however you want to do it. Just go to the original video. And I did want to throw that out there, guys. Do y'all have anything else that's coming up since we're getting kind of close, or anything y'all are excited about, or as far as guys, anything coming out that y'all are excited about?
KS, go ahead.
Working on quite a few different things. Fort Scott Munitions, working on some new ammo with them, and so should have some footage out on that before too long. The P320 M17 did some work with that. Didn't really see that on the horizon, but it happened, and so it was fun to get back to a P320 for a little while. Just a couple of other things like that. That's pretty much it. But I always, you guys, thank you very much for joining. Appreciate you guys spending Wednesday night with us.
Cool. What about you, 17?
I've got the holster thing going on. I'm enjoying doing it, like I've said, because the videos are really short. And I think I mentioned in one video or one of the other videos that I've recorded but haven't released, that's actually taking me longer to edit the videos than to make them, which is different this time. I actually am going to be getting a P09 pretty soon here. I'm still waiting for 3 guns that I've been waiting for about 13 weeks now, because this one Judge Savona, Ulster County, does not do her job. And I just want to throw that out there. So I have that. I actually just got a couple of new holsters, one from Bravo Concealment, which I was wearing this whole week. I was carrying outside the waistband with my M&P. The thing is friggin' slim as hell, man. It's pretty slick, man. I'm not going to lie. And then I actually just got, I just want to show this to you because it's so innovative and it's interesting. But I just got this the other day. This is from, I believe it's Massaro Holsters. And this thing is freaking cool, man. But I'm not going to tell you what's so cool about it until I do the review. So tough. You know, so I got, like I said, the P09. I haven't done the review on the Gen 5 Glock. I've been carrying that for a bit too. Absolutely love it. I'm surprised I love it as much as I do. I also got something else going on with something else, but I don't know how it's going to end up. So I can't really say much about it. But I just was talking to somebody tonight about it, and it's going to be kind of, I don't know where it's going to go. So it's going to be kind of interesting because I'm kind of on the march to 10,000 subs. I want to get 10,000 before the end of the year. You know, right now I think I'm just shy over 6,100. And I would like to see 10. I don't know why that's a magic number for me. I think it's a kind of a milestone. I mean, KS obviously is well over 10 at this point, and I would like to get there at some point before the end of the year, or before I'm dead, or before I decide to end YouTube forever. Yeah. But other than that, man, just keep doing what I'm doing, and you know, we'll see. We'll go from there.
Cool. I did have a really good time at the farm, and I did a test against the 9mm TSO that I'm now shooting. Just so everyone knows, I'm officially shooting that in limited minor. So I'm loving that. Matter of fact, the first match out was pretty awesome with it. Leaps and bounds of where I was before with the Glock. No pun intended, because you know I'm a CZ guy. But and I did a test. I used Pops' 40 caliber, you know, and what I did is 15 yards. Pops was right there and shot the 9mm rapid fire and kept it in a really tight group at 10 rounds at 15 yards. And then I did it with the 40 and pretty much just a tad bigger. But I mean, I just love those guns. So if anyone's considering a TSO, by all means get one. They're great pistols, and the Shadow 2 is great too. I bought something. I can't wait till it gets here. It's already on its way. However, I'll be out of town. So when I get back, I'll be grabbing it, and I'm super, super excited about it. I've been looking at it for a very long time, and I bought it. So it's a fun one. So it's and it's not a pistol. We'll just leave it at that. So, you know, because I know some people are already like, I know what it is. But really excited about it. Also, everyone in the chat, we appreciate y'all so much for being on and spending your Wednesday nights with us. It really means a lot. I appreciate these two goofballs here. Great guys. Yeah, and you know, both super great friends. But please join us next Wednesday night. Believe, is it going to be, is it 17s, or whose chat is it next week?
I think it's mine.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was, but and he'll put it on an alert. You know, we'll all put out some reminders, and then everyone can join us there. And we really appreciate y'all so much. Please leave thumbs up, comments, whatever you'd like to do. And I think I saw something fly by here, and I don't want to miss it. Rabbi Jesus gave us $1.99.
Yep.
So we appreciate it so much. But y'all have any more final thoughts before we head out?
Just one last thing. I am selling my APX if anybody's interested. We are banned.
It's awful.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll have like a big strike or something tomorrow, and I'll be like,
He was selling firearms on YouTube.
Yeah, no, we're not. No, he's talking about just the frame.
I am not selling it at all.
Yeah, but no, we appreciate everyone. Please tune in next Wednesday night and subscribe to everyone on the chat and also in the comments. And we appreciate y'all so much. And tune in next Wednesday, and please follow everyone on Instagram. Doing some fun stuff over there, and a lot of stuff does not get shown on YouTube. We don't even put it on YouTube. We just leave it on Instagram. So tune into our channels, and we appreciate y'all so much. Gentlemen, y'all have a great night.
Toodaloo.
See ya.
Carry on, everyone.